Generally, everybody looks at a higher authority in case an approval would be coming. And this is a typical process of a annual budgeting exercise also. It goes at a top level and then goes to, for example, MD is approving for an organization, it goes to CEO and CFO to further drill it down. But to give your answer, what I believe, whether the project will be approved or not, it's ultimately lies with who has a longer vision. Generally, in this case, would be a CXO position in an organization. But yes, it's a roles, responsibility, duty, ethics, everything would be of the one down to ensure all targets or all projects are aligned to the longer vision.
Okay. But the fundamental question still remains. I mean, I am in the field.
Yeah.
Right? I can look at possibilities in the immediate future. Right? So is it okay to have such a structure in these days?
So I can maybe give my thoughts on it. So I think if there is a culture in the organization which makes everybody think like an entrepreneur, then, and if the entrepreneur believes that this idea is a viable idea or this project is a viable project, in our case, it is a product. So, and if I have done my homework properly, like in terms of what is the market size and what is the revenue, who are my anchor customers and XYZ. So from that perspective, if my belief is correct, if I believe in it, then I think the probability of that getting a financial approval or rather management approval is almost 100%. May not be case every time, but I think more.
End of the day, it has to be whether it is a strategic intent and it's a game changer. And this probably requires then interaction with the board. And obviously, you may not have, we all work in a corporate system, right? So if you have to invest $1 billion in a country and it is going to be a long-term strategic decision, then obviously the set of people who get involved is a different set of people, right? But if it is something which is for you to run your business successfully, I'm not even talking about incremental impact. It's a significant impact, but and then I think if you're in the field, I mean, your say matters because you're seeing the real market and you're seeing the real client in the real world. So what you bring back and how do you take this through the organization is important, and people have to be given importance or actually in the field facing the clients or facing the situation.
So I'm flipping the question because we have got two opinions on this side, one opinion from that side, which is a fairly structured way of doing business, and we have got two opinions from here, which is more fluidity in the system, right? It should be more bottoms up. This is the guy who has to decide the affordability of that particular project. But the point still remains is this, that if I, as a person working in the field, come up with a particular idea, right? Many a times that idea, that ideation is something which I cannot give absolute great data and is based on my experiential gut feel. All of us are managers, have seen that happening, right? And if the budget gatekeeper there asks me that, look, give me data, give me proof, give me, because your way may kill experimentation.
No, but what I believe is that both approaches are possible, depends on the scale on which we are operating, right?
Mhm.
So if I have to run an experiment on ground, the gatekeeper might, we are thinking about gatekeeper, right? It can be a big thing, right? Long-term vision. There's a great dialogue in a movie called Margin Call. The CEO says that it's my job to look, what the music is going to do 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, 5 years down the line. That's the long-term vision. Right? As the scale goes bigger, long-term vision has to be there. Otherwise, on a shorter scale, at the ground level, at a city level or at a state level, the gatekeeper's budget and the limitation part comes down. So they start giving more leeway to at an execution level. Okay, you can try this, you can try that. So I believe both approaches are there. Has to be there. You cannot. it's not 1 or 2, 0 or 1. Like it has to be there. The one scale matters.
Okay.
And can I just add
Yeah,
to that?
please.
So it's also about the mindset of the organization that really brings it. Whether you have that mindset of being experimental or giving that opportunities to your employees that they can experiment a bit. Because sometimes we definitely call out for certain things like, tell us how it will impact in 2 years. It could just be a short-term impact and you can product more because we've talked about whether the world is changing very drastically in very years. So it is about the mindset or the culture which the organization is currently at. And definitely, if it is put in a right way with the right kind of thought through process is aligned to the strategy, I think then the ideas, the flying of that an idea becomes much more easier, whether the control remains at the top or whether it is somebody in your area. Because even when you have to approve, it would just not be I got up one day and I said, okay, I want to do this. It has to be backed up with certain logics behind it. And, even if it is when your money, when you are putting your money in any of the projects which you want to do.
Do you think? So if you're talking about gut feeling, that if I have an idea based on purely my gut feeling and I have zero data, but my gut feeling will also come from somewhere. Would be some socio-economic factors or would be something else. So if I'm able to articulate this to the relevant people within the organization who have to give a financial approval, then the probability of the idea flying through is high. But yes, if there is no data, everybody asks for data. The data can be based on certain factors, which could be geopolitical, socio-economic, or whatever. So that's what I think. I've encountered that 10 years back in one of the projects, and I had to give a lot of these kind of factors, which could have a potential. So that project went through. So that's coming from my real life experience.
Yeah, no, I think, I was just remembering one of the things. So in a family situation, if you have 4 siblings and they're at different ages, right? 2 are doing very well, 2 are not doing any well. Everybody has to be fed. So I think from my perspective, it's the age of the industry that you are in, right? If there's a startup situation and you have to get certain things done, then I think it is decided by the people who are running it. And if established company, the financial discipline is very important. Profitability is key, so it has to be met. So whatever over and above is where the innovation and any other fund comes from. So I think it's like you using one person who's very strong or one sibling who's very strong to take care of the other one which is maybe an infant. Or so I think it's that's how I think the decision has to be made. And on ground, it's the business leader who decides. I mean, if I have to do something for my business and if I'm profitable, I will take the decision to invest.
So I think there is this we call it the QSQT world, quarter se quarter tak, and all CEOs have lived that dynamic pressure. And as a founder, you also have that 10-year decadal vision, and you have to find the balance. One factor is definitely affordability. Yeah, you have to have enough cash engines delivering so that you can afford to make these bets. That's obviously one, and obviously the right kind of alignment with board and investors, etc. The second that I always look at whenever a real idea comes from, we call it the 45-degree universe. हम लोग 25 degree में रहते हैं. The real work happens at 45 degrees. So whenever an idea comes from there, we have to give it due care and consideration. And especially if there is accountability that the person is willing to accept of delivering that idea, then more often than not, at least I as the CEO, the MD or the founder, I will back it. If that person has the conviction to say, I'll do it, this is my idea, and I take the responsibility of delivering it, even if it is, a little far-fetched, I will back it, usually.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends, what kind of sector you're in. If you're in a sector where you can afford to be a follower, then you can ask for a lot of data and wait. And when people are successful, you can emulate that. If you're in a sector where you cannot be a follower, then data can be less. More of, you have to seek the accountability, and you have to look at the past of the guy who has brought that, like what else he has done earlier. And you have to have a bet, right? So I mean, both ways. If it works the follower way, no harm in waiting maybe, but I don't know in today's environment whether we can be a follower.
So that brings me to the point that he has been raising, right? That's a very important point. How often any of you have asked yourself this question? Instead of asking yourself, can we afford it? Have you asked yourself, can we afford not to do it?
So I think in the previous session, we were talking a lot about research, that, and I'm answering to the first part of the question, that gut is okay, gut is important. And of course, you have to back yourself, but it has to make sense at the end of the day, because everybody is attached to their ideas also. If I have given an idea, I will see this is the best idea. There's an emotional angle involved in it. So people who are sitting higher up, I'm not saying it has to be an hierarchy thing, but they've gone through that rut and they know what works and what not works. So it has to be a balance. And now to answer a question, can we afford not to do it? I think that's very, very important, because sometimes decisions are taken and affordability is not linked to all the time money. It's about the time value of a thing also. If I'm missing it now, will it make sense if I do it 1 year down the line? So I think when we analyze decisions in our company, it is very important to see that if we don't do it, can we afford not to do it right now? And then if we cannot afford not to do it, then even if we don't have the financial, I would say resources to do it, we will create resources to do that, because we cannot afford not.